And when Bernie said he was calling for a revolution, he wasn't being truthful. That was just a gimmick. He's not being truthful. He won't come on this show and talk about it. Bernie won't even come on the show. He'll do any interview with anybody if you said you voted for Hillary. But if you didn't, Bernie won't come near you. That's the opposite of political courage. I'd much rather go back to telling jokes at night. That's really what I want to do with my life. That's what I really like doing. I don't like doing this. Is stressful. This is too stressful. And it's a real disappointment that we can't get Bernie on the show to just answer these questions so we can all get together and all work together. You know, when he went from filling stadiums, when he decided to back Hillary Clinton, you know, he couldn't fill a gymnasium after that. That's a fact. What do these people think they're doing?
Steph, what do you think?
But what he went on to talk about in that article was he wanted what he considered to be the deep state, the intelligent people who work in the intelligence community, to oppose Trump, and to do that being on the basis of being patriots. Isn't that the exact opposite of being a patriot if you defy the President of the United States?
Well, that's right. I mean, look.
You know, there's a lot of ironies in what's happening right now with the left and the right. So I'm just going to read from your book. It says the radical left and the radical right, each made up of people who have been cast aside by the cruelty of corporate capitalism, have embraced holy war. Their marginalized lives, battered by economic misery, have been filled with meaning now that they're activists, right? So this is on you're writing this talking about the heels of Charlottesville.
Right.
And they hold themselves up as the vanguard of the oppressed, both the left and the right, Antifa and the Proud Boys. Right. They hold themselves up as the vanguard of the oppressed. They claim they claim the right to use force to silence those defined as the enemy. They sanctify anger. They are consumed by the adrenaline driven for confrontation. These groups are separated, as Sigmund Freud wrote, of those who engage in fratricide by the narcissism of minor differences. So what's happening is that the state is no longer able to meet the rudimentary needs of our citizens. And so people on the right, so you go into detail in the book where you talk about the economic, situation of the people who are in Charlottesville and holding the torches and those.
May God make it so.
And the people on the left, they share similar economic deprivation. And I love that term about the narcissism of minor differences. So can you talk about that and how and I think that the ruling elite are afraid of the left and the right realizing that they have common interests.
Well, that's why they assassinated Fred Hampton. Because Fred was the great Black Panther
right in
Chicago,
the 60s.
Was uniting. I mean, he was addressing white Aryans in Chicago who were applauding him.
And, no kidding, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard that.
Fred was building a poor people's coalition.
Oh.
And as long as he remained a Black Panther, they could deal with him. That's why the FBI drugged him, burst in there, and assassinated him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was 24 years old.
So you talk about in the book that what people like Fred wanted to do in the 60s, you think is actually possible now because economics have gotten so bad, we've hollowed out.
Eric House, Story Grub. Have you guys heard about Benjamin Dixon's beef with Jimmy? I think it has something to do with Tucker Carlson. Not sure what happened.
Well, some people, there's some people that haters that try to pretend that somehow I'm telling people Tucker Carlson's a good guy. The whole point of those Tucker Carlson things was to put, whenever I use Tucker Carlson as an example, the point is even fucking Tucker Carlson can tell the truth about this, or he can see it. Like when I showed him calling out Amazon, and I said it, and I go, well, of course he goes on to draw the wrong conclusions, and he blames the left for it, and the thing about him, even a warmonger like Tucker can get the Syria thing. Remember we kept asking, why is Fox News allowing Tucker to tell the truth about what's happening in Syria? It was super weird. Like, that was the whole point of the thing. So people, some people don't. It's just weird. It's one of the things. Like, so this show has become popular. So
if there's people who are detractors, and no matter what you do, they're going to smear you and spin it in a disingenuous way, and that's what some people are doing. Thank you.
It's guess who it is? It's this guy who people think is the worst guy in the world. They say he's a mouthpiece for white nationalists and all the. Well, why is it someone else saying the things he's saying? Why is it Tucker Carlson who's actually sticking up for the middle class? So here we are, 2 years after Bernie's campaign, his primary, where he was calling for a revolution. Here we are 2 years later, and we just had our primary in California, and California is going to send Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, and Kamala Harris back to Washington, D.C. So we didn't have a revolution. It didn't happen. This idea that Bernie wants people to get inside the Democratic Party to take it over with progressives isn't happening either. How long can you stay in a party that doesn't work for the people?
Well, we're working to try to change it. Working to try to make those reforms within the party.
So why is it? Now, you're a Democrat, and I know you're going to stay a Democrat. Why?
Because at this point in time where I look at where I can make the most impact, that's where I'm going to direct my energy.
But still, here we are sitting September 11th, 2018, 2 years after Bernie's primary, and we've only primaried one corporate Democrat, one, Joe Crowley, one. That's it. So my position is there isn't a progressive wave that's going to, there might be a blue wave, but it's not going to be a progressive wave. And so we're left with the same leadership we've always had, and nothing's going to, so what difference does it make if the Democrats take over Congress? What's the real concrete difference? They take our vote for granted.
That's true.
And they will continue to take our vote for granted until they are threatened. And you cannot threaten them from inside the goddamn party. If Bernie Sanders and you decided to start a third party in 2016 after the election, it would be the most popular party in the country right now, and we would be having a totally different discussion. It would be about how progressive you guys are going to be and how progressive our government's going to be. But if a third party's polling at 10%, which you and Bernie would be immediately, now they can't turn their back on progressives. They know they won't win on a national level unless they have a coalition government. And if you don't have a third party, we're never going to have that. This is my last question on that. What do you say to that? My theory that if you and Bernie started a third party, that would immediately transform politics in America.
I don't know that would necessarily be true. That it would have that immediate transformative effect that needs to happen. There's no question about that. The question of exactly how and the most effective and most efficient way to get there, I question the certainty of that.